I watched the effect of my father's love and humor and how it altered the world around me. And I thought, that's something to do. That's something worth my time. When I was about 28, after a decade as a professional comedian, I realized one night in LA that the purpose of my life had always been to free people from concern, just like my dad. I did something that made people present their best selves to me wherever I go. How will you serve the world? What do they need that your talent can provide? That's all you have to figure out. I can tell you from experience, the effect you have on others is the most valuable currency there is. Because ultimately, we're not the avatars we create. We're not the pictures on the film stock. We are the light that shines through. All else is just smoke and mirrors, distracting, but not truly compelling. That peace that we're after lies somewhere beyond personality, beyond the perception of others, beyond invention and disguise, even beyond effort itself. You can join the game, fight the wars, play with form all you want, but to find real peace, you have to let the armor go. Your need for acceptance can make you invisible in this world. Don't let anything stand in the way of the light that shines through this form. Risk being seen in all of your glory. I've often said that I wished people could realize all their dreams and wealth and fame, and so that they could see that it's not where you're going to find your sense of completion. Like many of you, I was concerned about going out into the world and doing something bigger than myself, until someone smarter than myself made me realize that there is nothing bigger than myself. Our eyes are not viewers, they're also projectors that are running a second story over the picture that we see in front of us all the time. Fear is writing that script, and the working title is, I'll Never Be Enough. I'm just making a conscious choice to perceive challenges as something beneficial so that I can deal with them in the most productive way. You'll come up with your own style. That's part of the fun. Life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. You will only ever have two choices, love or fear. Choose love, and don't ever let fear turn you against your playful heart. All that will be left of you is what was in your heart. My soul is not contained within the limits of my body. My body is contained within the limitlessness of my soul. You can fail at what you don't want, so you might as well take a chance on doing what you love. Relax and dream up a good life. You can spend your whole life imagining ghosts, worrying about the pathway to the future, but all there will ever be is what's happening here, and the decisions we make in this moment, which are based in either love or fear. So many of us choose our path out of fear disguised as practicality. What we really want seems impossibly out of reach and ridiculous to expect, so we never dare to ask the universe for it. I'm saying, I'm the proof that you can ask the universe for it.
fucking about the budgets. I'm smart as fuck, they be talking like I'm the dumbest, but I know what they want from me. Dollars, lot of stock in me. It ain't nothing personal, it's business and I'm a commodity. But honestly, Pop-Pop would be turning in his grave the day I let someone else become the boss of me. When there's a boss of me, I'll be dead. What they want.
That's What They Want by Russ. Link will be in the description. As if you guys don't, everybody doesn't know what this song is already. Let's get it. Welcome to the Motivation Conversation, my friends. As you see, got a lovely change of view and a different setup going on. Came out of the studio, went into the living room today because I'm going to be recording the Matrix later. Now I wanted to make sure you guys can see what I'm seeing so we can see it and go through it together. Right now, this is just going to be a brief episode. I wanted to go over some things for New Year's. We'll call it the reset button. How about that? I figured go over some things for the new year, help people's minds be strong and strengthened and prepared for possibly another year of fuckery. I mean, who knows? We can all be positive or optimistic. There's no need in being pessimistic, right? But you must also be a realist. And so, this episode is here to help you refocus the unfocused nature that, you may cope with throughout 2021. We can call it the reset button. Before we get started, I'd like to give a shout out to a few people. RGN, Raw Gaming Network. If you don't know who it is, pop up on the screen somewhere. The link could be in the description. Shout out to RGN. Shout out to the Mike Podcast and Goody and Big Podcast. Link will be in the description. Pop up on the screen somewhere. Link will be in the description. I had Jonathan Coker from Goody and Big Podcast on episode 2. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's one half of the Goody and Big show right there. Make sure you guys check those out. They have great perspective and shit that happens in the world. Outside of motivation, just what's real and what's not. That's more or less what their podcast is about, and it's great, man. There's some real smart people over there, intellectual people over there. For now, that'll be it. Remember, guys, if you want a shout out, holla at your boy. Put it in the comments. I'll shout you out in the next episode. I'll pop you up on the big screen, on a little screen, somewhere in the corner. Pop you up on the big screen. Put you in the description because we're here to support everybody. So that's a start. Now, moving on. Let's talk about what's to come for the Motivation Conversation. I got a list of episodes that I'm in the midst and progress of working on, finishing, editing, getting started, all type of things like that. If you want to be a part of any of these episodes, please come holler at your boy. If you want to be a part of them, I'll get you in. We'll go ahead and zoom it up, chat on YouTube, Facebook, Messenger, video, whatever have you, if you want to get involved. So just to get you guys prepared into the future of what I'm doing, the list is as follows. They are in no particular order, just a list of episodes that I want to, give to you guys. And this give you some foreshadowing into what they're going to be about, so to speak. The Matrix, that's episode 4. It was going to be episode 3, but I decided to do this. The Matrix, You Are Neo, will be the next episode 4. I got me coming up. That'll be episode about myself. That way you guys can get to know me. You can see I'm human too. You can see that I'm just giving advice and giving my perspective and insight on, core principle. That's all this is about. I'm not perfect by any means. I make mistakes all the time, every time. I probably made a few today already, and it's 10 or 12 o'clock. You see what I'm saying? But just about me, we're going to dig into my life. I'm going to give you guys some stuff about me. I don't want to get too much into it, but that's what it's going to be about. I'll save it for the episode, but it's all going to be about me so you guys can understand who I am and see that I'm a relatable human being, and this is just the way my brain works. The Motivation Conversation is just the way my brain works, over life experience and, experience points gained. Other than that, I'm just like you. Nobody's special, man. I just try to do the best I can with what I have, We're going to do an episode, on relationships. Yes. We're going to talk about plenty of aspects of relationships, failed ones, signs, growing ones, signs, how to strengthen a relationship, how to let go, everything that revolves around that. From a core principle standpoint, no bias, nothing like that of any sort, no emotional bias involved. It's really going to be, so sorry fellas, might be saying some things to the ladies that, you don't feel it should be said, but and vice versa. But that's what it is, man. We got to be real with ourselves, especially in 2021 with all the fuckery happening around, you know what I mean? Another episode I want to do is Lone Wolf. You got to learn how to stay alone, man, and be independent, Anything that you don't do on your own is, in a sense, codependency, right? You're dependent on somebody else to help guide you that way. Time to learn how to be independent, Time to learn how to, self-advocate and, do things you need to do for you. You need to do for you, not something that you're relying on other people to do to help guide you along the way. So that's Lone Wolf. It's not about being lonely or nothing like that, although I'm sure we'll get into those conversations, A lot of people who are on this side of the spectrum versus this side of the spectrum of the thought process of the masses end up kind of a lone wolf, so to speak, because they're going against the grain. Not really going against the grain, but building their own grain, and I'll talk about that in the Matrix. You are Neo, so that'd be Lone Wolf. We're going to do an episode on affirmations. The affirmations episode, I will finally introduce the motivation board, show you guys how that works, and hopefully you guys start building motivation boards. We get some videos or some pictures and stuff showing your motivation boards, build a community, get it going. I'll have a motivation board. You guys will see me updated all the time. Anytime I go update my motivation board, I'll put a quick clip or post or picture, something like that, so we can grow together. The motivation conversation is about growth as a whole and as an individual, but constant growth. We all want to grow together and help each other grow and surround ourselves by those good vibes and prosperous thoughts and movements. So that's what affirmations would be about. Got an episode coming up, Windows and No Mirrors. I'm actually going to have my god brother Terrence in that episode with me. Great guy. He's really smart. He has a great outlook on the world around him. So it'll be great to have him on the show. Coming soon, hopefully early, mid-February. And Windows is No Mirrors. If I can explain it just real quick, it's about self-reflection and understanding truth and true self, and the image and mirage and mask we put on for the world around us. You know what I mean? And how we portray that we're on this pedestal and everybody else is down here compared to our, social media public life, this person lives a perfect life on social media, so, they're looking down on other people. Although we all know, you know what I'm saying, you're looking out a window, right? You're looking out a window, you're judging everybody else in your perfect little window, but you don't have a mirror, you're not looking in the mirror, looking at yourself and seeing where you're not right. You're too busy, kind of like a judgmental type thing. So, and some, I'm not going to get into the whole breakdown, but I'll be doing that coming up soon. Windows and No Mirrors. Should be an interesting conversation. I'm going to have another episode, Investing in Self, and that's in all aspects. Investing in self, financially, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, religiously, however you see fit. Again, unbiased conversation is going to be just all about the core principle of understanding, so that way you can take it in whatever direction fits your lifestyle and your way of living. I'm not here to direct anybody's life. I'm not here to tell you how to live your life, to tell you how to move about living your life. That's not what the motivation conversation is about. I'm here to help guide you and help give you some insight and maybe some other prospects that you can use to help better your situation or recreate or motivate or change your situation. Give me 1 second here. Trying to eliminate some outside noise. But that's what that'd be about, investing in self in all different ways, many facets of the meaning, not just, financially, because financial stability is important, but, mental health and stability are most important. So that's what that'd be about. Downtime is meant to get up. That's going to be an interesting conversation and episode, and I want people to understand now, before we dig into any of that stuff, that it's okay to have downtime. Please, man, have downtime. Enjoy, your glory and your hard work. If it's okay to have that nice car, nice house, or nice watch, or nice chain, or nice clothes, nice shoes. It's okay to do that. It's all about the reason behind why you're doing it. If you're just trying to flex on people and show that you've accumulated more than everybody else in your facade of the world's reality, then that's not what you should be doing. But if you want to do it, as a boost of confidence, as a recognition of your hard work, you know what I'm saying? And of course, other people are going to see that natural. So it's not like you're not hiding it from anybody. People's going to see your new J's and your Rolex and, your Ferrari and, your condo or whatever. People's going to see that naturally. So why, overkill with it and flash it all over the place, Those people that you're trying to flash it to, they don't even give a fuck about you anyway. Those people don't matter. They're never going to be over there. They don't care. Who are you trying to make envy you? Why are you trying to even create envy? You see what I'm saying? So, we're going to talk about how downtime is meant to get up, right? And that's going to be about how, yes, we have that free time, that leisure time. I like to play my Xbox. I like to, go for walks, drink my beer, smoke my blunts, what have you. But you still have to understand that it's all about moderation. Even the food table. What's that table called of the food? On the food chart, it has junk food in it, right? Junk food is a part of that necessity to have that balance. And, understanding moderation and free time and your downtime is valuable. It's important, because a lot of people only have their free time to invest in themselves and their leisure time to invest in themselves because they're working regular jobs, and that's okay too. Understand that, working a regular job to get you to where you want to be that's not a problem. Even if you want to be a doctor and you're working towards being that, then that's not what motivation conversation is about. I'm not trying to convince you, start your own business. I'm trying to convince you to be you for you. You know what I'm saying? So we'll talk about that. It kind of goes with investing in self, so it might be a 2-part episode. Also, something real controversial we're going to talk about is parenting. I'm a parent myself. I have 2 teenagers. I know a lot of parents. Birds of a feather, right? You end up around the same people in your environment, and it's not going to be so much the methods, because who am I to tell you how to parent? That's not what it's about. You know what I'm saying? It's about the message. You know what I'm saying? I'm not here to tell you how to parent. I'm just here to help you understand the viewpoint of our children. I was talking to my lady about this the other day, and I was saying, it's a perfect cycle because you start off as a kid and become a teenager, become an adult, and become a parent, right? And ironically, when we become parents, we forget about the steps that we took to get to parents and how our process of understanding changed throughout those elements and time frames in our life, right? That our parents didn't understand because they were being parents, and they weren't being parents understanding. At least in my situation, I know a lot of situations, in my generation, a lot of us were meant to be seen and not heard. That's something that needs to be discussed. There's no reason why your child should be shut out, because here's the thing, you can't gain understanding. You'll never gain understanding, and a person can never grow without communication. If your child can't communicate with you, even if they're wrong and misunderstand at a young age, that's supposed to be acceptable. They're not supposed to understand, right? So if their opinion or understanding is wrong compared to the truth, because because you've been through it and you're a parent, don't shut that out. Help them understand why that's wrong. You see what I'm saying? It's a different approach, different understanding. They're just trying to grow and understand, and they're humans and they're people that eventually one day have to become parents as well. So we got to go through the proper channels and get into that step properly, and we want people to grow and evolve, and the only way that's going to happen is with proper communication, and it starts with the younger generation. So if I just blatantly tell my kids to do what I say because I said it and have no explanation, even though my generation grew up, don't question me, you do what I say because I said it. There's a lot of shit I grew up not understanding, and I had to figure it out on my own, and a lot of shit I feel like I could have avoided if I had proper understanding, but I had to go explore that route on my own because I was told about it but didn't quite understand it. In order to understand, you have to experience shit, you have to communicate shit. So that's what parenting will be about. So more of the understanding of the other side, being a parent, right? There's nothing wrong, with your kid shutting the fuck up sometimes as well. Let's be real. But there's also a time for us to step back and listen to what they have to say. I think, anyway, that's my opinion. Another episode we're gonna break down is the movie Soul. As you guys seen, or as you guys heard me talk about a little bit earlier, I'm gonna break down the Matrix, but I'm using it from a motivational standpoint, not a conspiracy theory, not a worldly theory, not a taking instances in there that we can relate to our everyday life to help us gain motivation. They had some great core principles. They had some great metaphors for understanding. They had some great depictions of like that awakening, like that moment of awakening and creating that bridge beyond, your own personal understanding based on your history of life, and then being able to cross over to a greater understanding of the universe around you outside of your own understanding, which is really hard to do, man. It's really hard. And, I think that's what the Matrix is more or less about, is, the Matrix is that bridge, what I'm saying, that separates you from, the absolute truth, right? Or your idea is still your idea. That's what makes it so hard. Your idea of the absolute truth versus, the simulated version, so to speak, of the absolute truth. So that's what we'll talk about in the Matrix and with Soul. So I'm gonna break that down, man. I watched that movie. Well, I want to watch it a couple more times before I break it down, but that's coming up in the near future. We'll talk about that and just the meaning of it and really how to express the meaning of life. And I felt like the afterlife part was more of a bridge to help us separate purpose from movement, I guess, so to speak, for lack of better terms, right? Because you could just be energy moving about in the earth and not really be living, so we'll have that conversation. Also, we'll be talking about just relax a little and just relax a little and live, man. Like I said, man, have that nice stuff, have that good time, take that vacation, spend time with your family, call in the fucking work, if you deserve that, and I'm going to just be talking about the concept of what it is to relax a little and how to properly set yourself. All right, sorry, where was I? Had some technical difficulties, but so you can set yourself up, like I was saying, sorry. So you can set yourself up so you're able to just relax a little, have a good time, live, stuff like that, and not get behind, right? Because we all, like I was saying, we all set ourselves up to relax, and then we're done relaxing, we got to play catch up again. Whereas, we should be setting ourselves up that when we're relaxed, we're still ahead a little bit, Let me grab me another brewski, and then we're going to head into the episode. Remember, if you have any suggestions about conversations we should talk about here at the Motivation Conversation, if you have any business idea or a business startup that you want me to shout out, or growing business or big business, I don't care, as long as it's yours for you, if you're doing anything out here to be a better you, if you got some words of wisdom or anything like that, if you want to get on the episode, holler at me, put your link in the comments. I'll make sure to get you on the screen. I'll make sure to shout you out. I'll put you in my description as well. I'm here for you guys. I want to support everybody. Everybody get a fair chance at this game called life. I'm going to grab me a beer, flip the screen a couple times for you guys, make it look real cool. And I'll be right back. We are back, and in to episode 3 we go, called the reset button. I just really want to chat with you guys about some things. No specific structure or order. As you can see, the matrix here. The matrix here is real structured in order. That's going to be the matrix I'm going to re-record rather after this. Please like, share, or subscribe, man. Come hang out, chat with me. Let me know, your thoughts, ideas, feelings, opinions, whatever have you. I'm here for it all, man. I'm here for everybody. So, just some things that came to mind when I was thinking of New Year's resolutions and how to retrain your brain and reset your mind and reorganize that structure, and some things that you can kind of keep in the back here, that I felt may help people along the way. So let's go over some of that. First, one of the big things is being weak-minded. I want everybody to understand that being weak-minded doesn't mean you're weak. It's just vulnerable, right? It's a sense of vulnerability, right? You got to do things your way for you. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy how easy and unexpected and how we become weak-minded, vulnerable, right? How we become weak-minded, vulnerable, and don't even realize it. Like I said, I play the game, I slack and procrastinate, we all do as human beings, right? And what we got to try to do is break from that chain, but understanding it, like episode that we're going to talk about, the just relax and live a little. That's kind of what it's like, we got to try to train ourselves to not be vulnerable or so vulnerable. A little bit of vulnerability is okay because you gain experience. That's when you have free time. When you see something on sale, and you want to go on a vacation, you're vulnerable to that sale, right? When you see something on sale at Walmart, you want to go to Walmart and you buy it, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with those things, right? But it's understanding the core concept of moderation of those things and not putting yourself in a predicament to where now you're behind. Now you have to make different choices. Now you have to reorganize your life based on this small decision of vulnerability, right? This thing that got you wrapped up, that dress or purse or shoes or whatever. Those simple things that make the big difference is what makes us vulnerable. Those crab legs we shouldn't be eating, that trip to the casino we shouldn't be taking, that extra vacation we shouldn't be having, that extra date night we shouldn't be having. You know what I mean? The extra stuff that we shouldn't be having. It's okay with having extra, but there's also extra that you shouldn't have. There's too much. And I just want you guys to start to recognize in 2021 some of those concepts that may have got you wrapped up in a state of being weak-minded or vulnerable, and gain some control and self-awareness. It's easy to be outside of the situation and then reassess previous situations, but then when you come back around to getting into it, how do you get out of that loop of being in the same situation that you were in and being more vulnerable instead of less vulnerable? And it's really hard to do, and that's up for you to decide. I'm just trying to bring it to the forefront. My job is to bring it to the forefront so you can now recognize it and then decide what works for you. It's not up to me to tell you how to go about doing that. I don't know the person that may be watching, your life, your situation, your circumstance, and your level of vulnerability. Everybody's different, so I just want to put that bug in your ear. On to next topic. Like I said, we're just going through a list of topics, just some stuff that was crossing my mind over New Year's Eve that I wanted to discuss with you guys. Is letting go, which goes with being vulnerable. Gotta learn to let go of material possessions, psychological ego, so to speak. Your psychological ego, it's one of the same thing. I just say it like that because it's within you. Letting go of some of those distractions, letting go of some of those things that are a distraction, but you're still too scared to let go of it. And that could be a number of things depending on the person watching. I just want to put these bugs in your ears so you can think about it, right? Because like sick and tired of being sick and tired, in order to avoid getting out of that same loop, in order to avoid from going back into that same loop, you have to recognize the loop at which you've gotten yourself into. And once you recognize that, you become sick and tired of being sick and tired. This is here to help you recognize those sick and tired of being sick and tired moments. So in 2021, you don't have to get to the point of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. You see what I'm saying? You're able to recognize them as they come because I put these bugs in your ear and you're like, and then it's all self-inflicted wounds after that because I helped you recognize it. You took the information I gave you, step back and recognize how it pertained to your life and your situation. And then if you choose to still go on the same route and get back in that loop, that's on you. You see what I'm saying? And you can take the information and apply it in the way that works best for you, I'm sure, to help you in those situational circumstances to where you're like, I almost did that little extra past the extra that I didn't need to do. This extra is okay, but this on top, I don't need the cherry on top. You see what I'm saying? The ice cream's good enough. I don't need the cherry on top. You know what I'm saying? So just try to trap yourself in that state of mind of moderation and understanding and the ripple effect of your actions. It's hard to see into the future, I know, but just step back for a second and think about it, and I bet 9 times out of 10, you'll be able to stop yourself. Or you can make the decision to do it. I mean, sometimes you're like, fuck it, and that's okay. That's the great part about being human and living life. Sometimes you're fully aware that this is not the right move or in my best interest, and even though, let's say you go to Vegas, you know, you got $1,000 and, you know, you had a good time. That was your budget. That's what you want to do. So what, right? And then you're still there and you're like, well, I'm going to spend 500 more. It's probably not the best decision, but sometimes, fuck it. And that's understanding moderation. Sometimes you just got to live a little, you know, relax and just live a little. Not everything's meant to be so structured, so uptight, so organized, so nitty gritty. You know what I'm saying? So you don't got to be so high strung about every move, or you don't got to, you know, that's how you get happiness. That's freedom right there. You know, financial freedom, it can still be financial freedom within your realm of capability. You don't have to be rich to have financial freedom. You have to be wealthy to have financial freedom. You can work a regular 9 to 5 to have financial freedom. Don't let the concept that they built around the word financial freedom psych you into thinking that you got to reach a certain plateau of life to get to that. That's not necessary at all, because happiness is all about perception and perspective. And you can live just fine off, you know, working a regular job to an extent. You know, of course, you got to pay your bills, but it's just not that expensive if you organize, if you learn moderation, if you save, if you build these strategies and tactics and concepts that help you get to that point of, you know, being ahead and staying ahead. So that's letting go. You know, just learn to let go of those things that are not necessary. You know when to hold them, know when to fold them. You know when to walk away, know when to run. You know. And that's what we got to learn to understand as people, man. It's not all about, like I said, he who dies with the most wins. It's not fucking true at all. Not at all. Who told you that? What allowed you to think that? What allowed you to feel that way? What got under your skin and what got into your brain cells that made you think that if I accumulate more than everybody else, even if it's completely unnecessary, I won? Yeah, right. You're fucking stupid. It's not about your material possessions and leftovers. It's not about how much shit I can sell of yours at my garage sale, my rummage sale. It's about the legacy you leave with the lessons you taught and the knowledge you spread around the world, man. And that's what it's about. So please properly understand the concept of letting go, and we'll get into that more in pretty much every episode, because letting go is a key part to understanding and having self-control. True form of self-control, that is, right? Now, please also understand real quick, and I'll do a quick screen flip.
McDonald's is a last name. Abercrombie and Fitch, last names. Armani is a last name. Baskin Robbins is a last name. Chrysler is a last name. Fisher Price, Gucci, Hennessy, Harley Davidson, Hilton, Honda, Kohl's, Kraft Foods, Lowe's Movie Theater, Marriott is a last name. Maybach is a last name. Nordstrom is a last name. Pillsbury is a last name. Porsche is a last name. Procter & Gamble, 2 last names. Rolls Royce, Charles Rolls, Henry Royce, last names. Turner Broadcast System, Ted Turner, last name. Versace, last name. Wells Fargo, Henry Wells, William Fargo, last name. Walgreens, last name. Wrigley's, last name. Welch's Grape Juice, last name. Here you are, you think you're buying a product. You are not buying a product, you're buying a name. You think you're wearing a product. Hey, look at this product. No, you're saying, look at this family. Your last name is bigger than your first name. I don't care how you got your name, but you need to be living for your last name. Your first name is about you, but your last name is about us. If you are going to leave a legacy, you got to start building now. I know 40-year-olds who are living under the consequence of things they did from 18 to 22. And they thought that when they left school, that they left the issue, not realizing that the issue followed them all the way into their adulthood. I'm telling you that right now you are a builder. Right now, you have to start building your life now. You got to start building credit now. You got to start building your finances now. You got to think like a farmer. A farmer thinks sowing. I'm sowing seeds, realizing that I'm not going to reap this until later. A legacy is something that is passed down. It is your mark. It is your footprint in the earth. It is your contribution to the world. Your legacy is something that is passed down. It is your mark. It is your footprint in the earth. It is your contribution to the world. I don't care about legacy. I'm single. I don't care about legacy. I don't have no kids. I don't care about legacy. My family never cared about me. I don't care about them. My life is my own. Why do I need to even think about legacy? Well, here's the thing I have to say to you. The thing you need to know is this. You are leaving a legacy whether you want to or not. Everybody in this room is going to leave a legacy. The question is, are you going to be intentional about the legacy you're leaving? Are you actually going to be intentional, or are you just going to let anything be passed down, anything be given to others on your behalf? Don't let it be so. I wish there was somebody in this room that say my name might mean one thing right now, but I promise after today, this name's getting ready to change. I promise after today, everybody's going to want my last name. I'm here to let you know you are a curse breaker. You're thinking kingdom. You are not just getting married, you're breaking a curse. You are not just graduating from college, you're breaking a curse. You are not just getting out of high school, you're breaking a curse. You are not just saved, you're breaking a curse. And everybody around you is about to be blessed because of what God's getting ready to do in your life.
One of those things I want to talk about was understanding your threshold versus another person's threshold. In episode 2, me and fella discussed. I asked him, how many times did you have to do something, and as human beings, so you guys can recognize how many times does it take for you to get sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? And he said that it was a tough question because everybody's different, which is absolutely correct. And that's what I want you guys to not only understand for self, but understand for the world around you. You see what I'm saying? Too often are there situations that I'm in, that I know other people are in, that I'm sure that you have been in, to where you're going through something that somebody doesn't feel like it's that bad or that big of a deal, or why are you letting that bother you? Why, you know what I'm saying? Because you're different than them. Everybody's threshold and what they can take and tolerate and deal with and cope with mentally, physically, emotionally is all different. So don't be that person to judge somebody based on their threshold. They may not have experienced as much as you. They may not have made it through that situation like you have. Even if they're going through it again, understand we're humans, so you're going to go through, trials, tribulations, situations multiple times that are tough, and feel like the same thing just so you can perfect it, so to speak. And as from one person to the next, don't be that person that, I made it through that, don't neglect to understand the perspective and situation of the other person. I made it through that. It wasn't that hard. How are you dealing? I dealt with that with no problem. How are you stuck on it? Why is that troubling you in your life? That's not nothing, man. Don't be so weak. That's not being weak. This is not weak because somebody can't deal with the same shit that you can deal with. How is that weakness? What is strength and weakness? These are all relative to situation and perspective of said person. So if I'm going through something, if the person next to you is going through something that you feel like is tolerable or should be an easy fix, try to have some fucking empathy. Which you should, because you've been through that already. If you've been through it, just think, if you went through it already, right, and you've been there, whether it was an easy solution for you or not, it was still a problem you had to face. And you just came up with the right solution for your situation. One, your solution to the situation may not be the same as the other person's necessary solution for the situation. So you have to understand that. And that's the biggest one. Two, the person may not perceive the situation the same way you perceived it in order to get that simple answer. Maybe it is the same answer, but maybe they just perceive the situation differently. So have some empathy and understand that. See that, recognize that. That's how you support other people, man, and be helpful. Everybody's so quick to judge because people aren't in the same boat. Everybody's so quick to judge because people have different thresholds of vulnerability. Everybody's so quick to judge because people have different breaking points and different comprehension and understanding levels of core concepts of life and principle and morals and blase, etc., etc. But you need to recognize that. We're all different. And understand that, and if it's not an environment that you can cope with, then shut the fuck up and stay out of it. Don't put your 2 cents in to make their situation worse or distort their perception of understanding. If you're gonna put your 2 cents in, be helpful about it. And it's not your obligation to make people happy. You know, that's not your obligation. That's not your job. But if you're gonna go ahead and speak on it, at least point them in the right direction instead of kick them while they're fucking down. You know, and just understand the next person's threshold. You know, we're all different. Different people can tolerate different shit at a certain level, at a different level and degree than other people, even if it's seemingly the same thing, man. Empathy. That pretty much sums it up, man. Just have some empathy for the person around you. And should it be easier as far as, you know, relationships and understanding? We have a long way to go to make the world a better place. But there's a lot of little shit and simple shit we can do to get it going. You know what I'm saying? Next thing I want to talk about, and this is real big. This is really big right here. And that is you get that feeling, right? You get that feeling where you're doing right. You're doing everything right. Right? We talked about this in episode 2, me and fella, about sick and tired, get sick and tired. You're doing everything right, man, and shit still goes wrong. Shit still goes wrong. How, Eric, do you explain me doing everything right and shit still going wrong? Let that sink in so you can be like, yeah. Let you get your ears in, check my camera, do a quick flip, and we're going to explain. And shit still goes wrong. Please explain to me. Well, let's explain. Let's break it down. Let's get into it a little bit, right? 1, let's talk about your perception of what wrong is, of what going wrong is. If you're doing everything right and shit goes wrong, maybe your perception of what you expected the end result to be is the problem and not the actual end result itself. You see what I'm saying? Maybe the end result was not up to the standard that you had expected to get at the end of that journey. And you felt like shit went wrong because it's not what you expected to be. Think about it. I was, playing the game with my cousin the other day, and we were playing the game and we were winning, right? And I was like, man, this is great, we're winning. And I was like, think about this. If you did the exact same thing but you lost the game, would you feel like it went wrong? Or would you have the same perception of, fun and success and this and that? If you did the exact same thing but we lost the game versus doing the same thing and losing. So think about that for a second. It starts with perception. What really is going wrong? Is it simply wrong because you didn't get the outcome you had anticipated, you had expected? Or is it wrong because it was a complete failure, right? Well, it was wrong because it was a complete failure, Eric. Not only did I not get the expected result or anticipated result, but it was nowhere near. I didn't even come close. I didn't even succeed. I failed blatantly. Everybody knows it. Well, once again, my friends, it boils down to perception. As always, the key to success is perception, 100% of the time. How you interpret it. I failed. No, you didn't. You learned something. What did I learn if I failed and it didn't work out and I'm not capable of doing it? You learned what path not to take. Ain't that still a lesson learned? It's all about perception, man. If you do something and you're not capable of accomplishing it, right? There's a lot of different variables that take place that you need to understand if it's something you're passionate about, right? There's some shit that we just need to let go of. I can't fucking sing. I'm not going to try ever. And that's the point right there. Letting go. I know I can't, but did I fail? No, I didn't fail. I learned something about myself. I learned that I'm not capable of singing. That's not me failing at singing. I learned that's experience points. Now my life could go on without me wasting my time trying to sing. Now I can focus on things that I'm capable of that's going to help me prosper and succeed. I didn't fail. Failing is for me to have that knowledge and still keep trying to do it. I'm setting myself up for failure. I'm failing now. Now I'm failing because I keep failing. And I can't, it's something I can't physically get better at. So I keep chasing it. That's failure. Nobody tells you the true definition of failure. They give you some bullshit in the dictionary. Failure is the understanding of not being, of incapability and still trying to accomplish it. That's failing. Let it go. Go find something else. Go find something that you could probably prosper in. Or find out that you can't prosper until you can move on. Like the movie Soul, that's why they had the Hall of Everything. It was a hall of everything. So you can go around and see what fits your life and what doesn't. That's the point of life. So it's not failure if you now understand that that is beyond your capability. That's experience points and understanding itself. How you gonna get to know you if you don't know shit about you? Everything has balance. You can't do everything. No matter how much you want to. You're here for specific reasons to serve a specific purpose. It's up to you to find that purpose. But in order to find that purpose, you're going to go through a whole bunch of purposes that aren't in the purpose. That's not failing, that's understanding. And all the lessons and knowledge that you've gained from all those things, accumulated all into one big bunch of knowledge, is going to help you with your purpose. So you didn't fail, you gained experience points. So, when you feel like things aren't going right, they're going right. Maybe you should just change your perception and perspective. They're going exactly how they should. What will be, will be. Que sera, sera. Just saying. But you have to learn to accept that what is. It is what it is. Learn to accept that. And then you'll be able to grow from that. When you can't accept that, that's when it takes control over you. That's when you start failing. That's when it has power over you. Because you're still trying to do something that you can't do. And it's okay. Don't let can't be so derogatory. Let can't mean failure. Let can't mean understanding. Can't does not mean failure. Can't means I understand. Just like can. I understand. I can do that. I understand that I'm capable. You see what I'm saying? Just change your train of thought. And that's all we're trying to do here at the Motivation Conversation, is to get you to think differently, to see things differently, to understand the world differently, to perceive it differently. That difference is up to you. But the goal is to make you perceive it different than what you're used to perceiving it as. The same thing, I'm not saying change the situation, change the understanding. And maybe the collected understandings from your own bias, creation of understanding based on history, which is human nature. That is not a derogatory statement. We all have bias, manifestations of understanding based on our history. That's how it goes. How the fuck else do we understand anything without using our history to help us understand it? See? So try to understand outside of your realm of understanding. Try to create a new understanding from the situation. And then maybe it'll help tweak your result just enough to where you can get to that next point. Well, Eric, I feel like I'm doing everything right in my relationship and everything's going wrong. What about my relationship? Okay, you know, you're right. I should just see things in a different light. Well, what about my relationship? I've seen things from every angle. What about my job? I've seen things from every angle. I've tried different perspectives. I try to see it differently. I tried to be optimistic. I tried to be, realistic. I try to understand the situation is just a situation. And yet and still, shit's not going right. Because it's not your situation. It's that simple. Life gives us a lot of situations. Some situations just ain't for you. They're just not your situation to be in. Not that it's good, not that it's bad. It's just not, you know what I'm saying? Pull the morality aspect out of it. Pull your moral compass out of it. And understand that it may not just be your situation, no matter how good or bad it is. That's how you get into situations where things are good, but you're still not happy, because it's not your situation to be in. And it's hard for us to understand that because we think we have short-term and materialistic happiness, right? This ideal of happiness through materialistic gains, that's where we want to be. But that's not the case once you get past those materialistic gains. Once you have everything, then what more is there? It has to go deeper than that. So in my relationship, not mine, but I'm saying in a relationship, right, everything's wrong. Again, that means it's not your situation to be in. Because if it was your situation to be in, it'd be just fine and you wouldn't be questioning this. Think about that. When you start to question something, and then on a level of multiplicity, right, you're constantly questioning this, it's probably your gut telling you asking you what the fuck are you doing. 99% of the time, that's what it is. But it's hard to let go and accept that, especially when it comes to things, because we're emotional creatures. We're driven by emotion. We operate with emotion. We move and think based off emotional synapses and reactions and chemical change that's created. So it becomes hard to let go. And you gain that attachment because you feel like, oh, that's taken away from my less being more. I need to die with the most. I need to have the husband and the kids and the house and the car. I need this and this and this and this. Now I'm in a ball of fucking misery. Because you're trying to obtain too much materialistically. Who says you need all that material shit? And who's to say that it's forever as well? Those are things you got to understand. A lot of variables you have to take into account. And not just your biased ideal of the situation based on your history. A lot of shit you have to take into account. One, maybe it's not your situation. Oh, well, it's still early. Maybe the situation could get better. Maybe it can get better. But you have to understand your threshold. Your threshold. It may sound selfish, but you can't understand the other person's threshold. They're a different person. Your threshold. One person may be able to tolerate more drama than the other person because of their history, which is okay. But it should also be okay that you can't tolerate as much or more that they can. Either way it goes. So understand your situation and realize your threshold. And if it's not making you happy, you're pulling yourself to a point of being sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's what's happening. You're like, fuck, man, it's not working. I keep trying. Now, there's two things you must do in this situation. One, take some accountability and realize maybe it's you. And here's the thing, not maybe it's you as in you're wrong. You're the bad person. You're treating this person poorly. Maybe it's you as in the sense that it's not your situation to be in. It's you. The place marker of this relationship, you, is not supposed to be in this spot. This is not your outlining. Your puzzle piece don't belong here. It doesn't have to be negative that maybe it's you. Maybe it's you because you don't yin to this yang. Understand that. Don't be prideful about it and use that as an excuse. Don't be egotistical and use that as a cop-out. You know, you see this and then you realize, because there's somebody in the world that's going to see it and realize, oh yeah, maybe it's me. It's just not my situation. Okay, the other person sucks. That's not what I'm saying. The other person doesn't suck. It's just not your situation. You see what I'm saying? You can't put any judgment on something that's not yours to be in regard to begin with from the jump. Once you realize it's not your situation, then do you, and don't infringe on the success and story and path of the puzzle that you had to remove yourself from because you didn't fit. It's not fair. Key example, think about baby mama drama, baby father drama. That's what happens. That's a big part of the drama. Oh, well, I don't fit in that situation, so I'm gonna start taking pieces of this puzzle away because my piece didn't fit to make it harder for me to put this puzzle together. Since mine didn't fit, I'm gonna take this whole chunk off with my pieces, and you gotta stop, man. Stop the pettiness within yourself. Like I said, it all starts with accountability, you know. Oh, what's the other person? They're abusive, right? Yeah, they treat me like this. Doesn't that mean it's not your situation? If a person treats you how you don't want to be treated, it's not your situation, right? Now, to be ignorant is one thing. For them to treat you this way and you're just starting to deal with it and you're learning this person, it's their fault. People should not treat people badly, especially if you're supposed to care about them and be in a relationship with them, right? The point of a relationship is to is supposed to be an extension of the greatness within, right? This is an extension. A family tree, this is an extension. That's the point of the relationship. You know, a person can do bad by themselves. Now, to be ignorant and because you're just learning this person is one thing, but as soon as you have that point of recognition, it is no longer that person's fault. Yeah, they're still wrong. They're still wrong. But it's your fault because you're allowing yourself to be in that situation now that you recognize it. You're no longer ignorant and you recognize that it's not what you want. And yeah, I understand the concept of, hey man, you know, let's change to talk about it. Give those opportunities. There's nothing wrong with opportunities and trial and error, right? Trial and error is not failing. Everybody has a different threshold. Some people say 1 time is enough. Some people say 7 times is enough. But understand your threshold. Don't use that as an excuse. Well, you know what? You cheated 3 times. Maybe next time will be the time. Don't fool yourself and create your own ignorance when you're quite aware of the situation. You got to understand that difference and that line in your threshold. And respect that boundary and that standard that you set for yourself in your moral compass, because that's your right to do such. And if there's anything else I missed about shit not going right, let me know. Ask me a question. Tell me a situation where you're like, I've done everything I could and shit didn't go right, and I'll explain to you the process and understanding of that situation. And how maybe understanding it in this way, not this way, but once you question it, maybe understanding in this way to help you understand fully that everything's not going wrong and you're just misperceiving a situation that you're putting yourself in. You see what I'm saying? Because if you alter the situation, then the perception may change, because you're going to like, well, the perception, there's no perception to be had anymore. So if you got one that you feel like, oh, I've done this and this and this right, and then this goes wrong, whatever, you know, the tipping point of that scale is, you versus situation, let me know. We'll figure it out. We'll talk about it. All right, moving on. The mood's getting set. It's getting a little dark in here. Turn some light up for you guys. See how that does a trick a little bit. Nice. All right. We're almost through. About halfway there. Maybe a little more. Give about 15 more minutes of your time. Let's talk about this stuff. In case you haven't noticed, the motivation conversation is not all about speeches, right? The motivation conversation is not all about, you know, fancy catchphrases and philosophy and shit like that. You know, I don't know if this pertains to philosophy, but you know, it's not all about this right here. These quickies. It's not all about that. It's about understanding. That's what the motivation conversation is about. I don't want to just brush over, you know, some great ideal of the comprehension. Let's talk about it and fully understand the comprehension and become aware and get into depth of it. That's why it's the motivation conversation and not just motivation, whatever. Conversation, key word. I'm going to give you my perspective, and hopefully in due time you guys start giving me your perspective, and then we can mingle those, because maybe you guys have a different perspective than me and than my multiple perspectives. You know, I try to take account more than one perspective when I analyze any given situation. I have this gift and curse to where, you know, a situation, and then I play with all these different variables, and I realize that all these different variables have different variables along the road of those variables, right? It makes my mind fucking crazy, because I'm always thinking, what if this? Okay, well, what if this? In the same path, and you got 10 of those paths, you know what I'm saying? It gets hectic. But there's still shit I miss, you know? And to have other people's opinions is more than wonderful to me, to help me understand. You know, I often start arguments on Facebook about trivial shit and talk to people in my video game and my cousins and my friends about trivial shit just to gain different understanding. Not for the even sake of right or wrong, because a lot of shit isn't that black and white. For the sake of understanding a different perspective that can help my perspective grow or alter the growth, but for potential of even better. you know, you got to reach those new heights. You know, that information is necessary. So, moving on. I want to talk to you in 2021 about support. Now, this is a big one for me. I've had this probably with the past before. A motivation conversation I'm not worried about. You know, this will go over time and do its thing because it's just to motivate people, and stuff like this people kind of pull in on their own. You know, when I first started my landscaping company, didn't have this issue because I reached out to networking in big companies and I got lucky, quote unquote. It's a conversation about me. Did happen with RGN. All the love I got from RGN, Raw Gaming Network, which is my gaming company. We'll be back in February. We're rebuilding, restructuring our whole structure from the inside so we can create better content and do more giveaways and free shit for you guys. You guys may not know this, but RGN in 6 months we gained about 40,000 followers accumulated between all platforms. So it's not really a lot, you know, but it's good, you know, in 6 months. We gave away like $7,000 worth of stuff. I got a whole stack of cards from all different consoles this big. Some of you guys watching this may have even won one. And we've only collected like $200. I did it to create something for the community, you know. All these gamers making so much damn money. All these gamers making so much damn money and not really giving back to their community so much. And they're all fucking millionaires in their communities, stealing money out their mom's, you know, stealing their mom's debit card to go support them. You know, like they're naive to that. You know what's happening. These guys are, you know, a lot of them are kids and stuff like that. But so I created RGN so I can give back to the community more than me taking it. And, you know, finance that through, you know, landscaping and other sources of income that allow me to give back to the community. You know? So support comes in many ways, man. You know, so that's one way, of course, doing something for your environment, your community, your people, you know, your surroundings, your atmosphere that can help better the environment and life in which, you know, around them and life in which they live. You know, and it's small things. You know, people donate stuff. People, you know, set up food drives. You know, whatever it is, man. Support goes a long way in the smallest fraction. Trust me, because it's like this ripple effect, you know. Oh, they did something great. I wish I could do that. Let me try to do something. Oh, they did something great. I wish I could do that. Let me try to do something. You know what I mean? And nowadays with social media, it's not one person, you know. Thousands and sometimes millions of people see these videos with these, you know. And also that, you know, we're going to have an episode about how do I put this? The intention behind giving back to your community. Because there's a fine line, you know, people record stuff and like give back to the community and stuff like that, and they like record it. To an extent, I have a problem with that, you know, and I'm not going to talk about that right now, because there's this falsified support that happens, you know what I'm saying, and then there's people that record it just for the sake of showing people, you know. I don't think there's anything wrong with showing people that you're a good person, you see what I'm saying, but using it not to show that you're a good person, but to exploit an emotion, a human emotion, right? There's people out there that do good things with the intent of exploiting human emotion to build up their credibility, their bankroll, and bank accounts and finances. You see what I'm saying? And so I think that's completely wrong, and it's hard to separate who's doing it with the intent of actually being a good person and just wants to expose it. Because if you don't expose it, right, then how are you going to kind of motivate other people to do it as well? How are you going to build that ripple effect that, hey, I did something good, you should do something good? You know what I mean? The pay it forward. How are you going to get that pay it forward effect if you show nobody, you know, to help set that situation up? But then there's this thin line to where, how do you do it in a point to actually be a good person versus now I'm doing it to exploit those human emotions to get people to support me. You see what I'm saying? I'm not actually doing it to support each other. That's kind of the sheep. I'm a wolf, you know, and you guys are the sheep. You see what I'm saying? You guys are the sheep, you know, and I'm the wolf. And the sheep's clothing that I put on to get in with the rest of you sheep is by touching your human emotion. These emotions that you get when I give this to this homeless people or this to this homeless shelter, you know, this money or that food or that shelter or that car or that whatever, you know, I do this for this person. There's a situation to where there's some of those sheep are really wolves. Some of those sheep are really wolves. And how do we figure that out? Because that's not okay. That's not okay by any means. Because you're exploiting the person that you're helping, quote unquote, and you're exploiting the people that think that you're helping, but really you're over here. Just think about it. How many YouTubers, I'm not gonna say any names, and I don't know the number neither, but I'm sure there are some, and I actually know there are some, but I'm not gonna say no names, but how many YouTubers are living this tax bracket way the fuck up here, right? And their videos are about helping people down here, right? And you don't see any growth pattern from the people down here to up here. So how are you really helping? If you're way up here and you're trying to help somebody down here, what are you helping them for? To get to here, right? Or are you helping them to exploit you, or exploit them? Are you helping exploit them to touch emotions so you can get further up there? You see what I'm saying? If you're really trying to if you're up here and you're really trying to help people down here, then this should be happening, right? I don't know if it's a camera. You're up here, people are down here, you're supposed to be helping these people. This should be happening. At some way, shape, or form, no matter the rate is irrelevant, right? The rate of which it happens is irrelevant, but the rate should still occur. This should still occur. People down here should still be moving up in life if you're truly trying to help them. Because helping somebody isn't just to hand them a couple dollars. Like, hey, look, I handed somebody a couple dollars on camera. Like, share, subscribe. That's not fucking helping them. That's making them feel good about that moment, that situation. That doesn't help. When you go give an iPhone to somebody in a McDonald's drive-thru, how is that improving the value of their life? How does that improve the value of their life when you give them a fucking iPhone 12 through McDonald's drive-thru? That motherfucker still got to wake up tomorrow and go work at McDonald's and hope that they get enough hours for their paycheck that's coming up the next week to be big enough to pay their rent. So how are you helping them? I'm just going to move on from that. And we'll talk about other forms of support, right? What people need to understand is there are many, many free ways to support people that require little to no time, little to no money. It's free ways, so no money. You don't have to, support is not about, oh, I'm going to go into your shop and buy something. If you're feeling it, yeah, go buy something. Don't not buy something from their shop or their restaurant or their business, or don't not watch their streams or their shows, or don't not buy their clothes, or whatever, whatever the case may be. It's an infinite loop of possibility that can fit into this scenario. If you're not gonna, buy or watch what they're doing, that doesn't mean you don't have to support them. You can still support them without buying their merch or watching their videos or whatever. Those are just the easiest things to come up with because that's the world we live in nowadays. But whatever the case may be, support doesn't have to be, it's not about you. Support is not about you, it's about the other person. That's the purpose of support. If you don't like what I do, if you don't like what he does or she does or they do, if you don't like what's happening, just simply because you're not feeling it, right? Not because it's a bad thing. There's bad shit in the world that should not get support. That's not what I'm saying. Don't fucking play that game while you watch this show. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying if you're actually not supporting something simply because it's not for you, don't close out the rest of the world. If you're doing something that I don't necessarily like, if you got a brand that I don't like that brand. I don't like those shirts. I don't like that kind of food. Why shut it off from the world? I can still then share it. And then I could potentially open it up to people that had no knowledge of the existence of this product. or item or whatever service. Who am I to deny you access to the world simply because it doesn't fit me? How selfish of me. And the great thing about social media nowadays is that you can at least put the word out for free. Really, people out here have so much ego, so much pride that you can't even put the word out. Think about this conceptually. Every time you share a meme, you're scrolling through your stupid ass Facebook timeline, your Twitter, your Instagram, and you see something from somebody who's on your listen, the people that you see first are the bigger people, the more influential people, right? What do? You hit share, you hit like, you hit copy, you copy and paste and move it over to this site, pretend it's yours, all type of shit. You rewrite it like it's yours. You make it famous. You change the algorithm. You fix it for them. People that are never going to help you, never supported you. You don't even know their real fucking name. You don't know what color socks they got on. Now, there's nothing wrong with supporting those people. That's not what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with supporting your favorite rapper, your favorite artist, musician, author, whatever. But understand the concept of what it took for that person to get there. They became your favorite because they were put in a light of yours that you didn't see shining before. And so now you like them because somebody shared them for you to see it. So why not expose the rest of the world to all the other opportunities out here? But instead, people are so biased and selfish in their train of thought that, well, I'm just going to share what I like. That's saying that you expect, who are you to say that everybody must like what you like? Share something you don't like one time this month. One time. One time every month, share something you don't like to see how many other people might like it. Think about all the bullshit you're sharing that we forget about next week. Go through your own timeline. Look at all the shit that you shared that nobody gives two fucks about. That at that moment you thought was so important. Now go look at the progress of that person that's already famous. Now go look at regular Joe Schmo and think about the impact on his life and his environment that you could have made from that same one share. And this is regular Joe Schmo. This is a person just like you, who's living paycheck to paycheck, trying to find a way past it. But simply because you don't believe in them, you want to give them more reason to not believe in themselves and not share it. Come on, man. Get over yourself. Support is not always about you. It's about the person you're doing for. That's why it's called support them. You're supporting them. Things need to change in 2021, and it starts with these small things. Small things. Just like a motherfucker can hop on Facebook and diss how people moving plates. Oh, motherfucker selling plates, this and that. Why are you creating that negative thought process? So now when I go see somebody selling plates, I'm like, well, motherfuckers was talking shit how people be selling plates and be doing A, B, and C. To turn me away. How dare you have the audacity to be that person? Who the fuck are you? Instead of finding something you're interested in, or at least is to code with certain situations like food. I understand food as, you know what I'm saying, I understand. But you don't got to put that negative idea out there. Especially when it's just an idea and you're not pointing at any directed person. So you don't have to put that negative idea out there. Find something that's legit and then spread the word, even if it's not for you. If you don't like getting plates for people, so what? But I guarantee you seen a plate on it, you're just like, damn, that's good. But because A, you didn't have the heart to start making plates that of food that looked that good, you rather go hate. Or B, you're just that selfish and self-centered that you're like, well, fuck that person trying to live their dream. You don't have to be a part of their dream. Just because you don't want to be a part of their dream, that don't mean you need to block their success. Stop. Stop. We all gotta be better than that. So understand, support comes in many forms, and many levels, and many manipulations. So show support for the right reasons and the reasons you're capable of showing support. You're always capable of showing free support, so there should be no fucking excuse. You see somebody doing their thing, trying to do their thing, you don't have to like it, but you must respect it. How can you not respect somebody breaking from the shackles and chains of society structure, you know what I'm saying, and finding their way to live their life for them? How can you be a person that's okay with swatting that shit down? How does that make you feel better? How does that make you feel accomplished? How does that make you feel like you've grown? Come on, man. It's just that simple. Take a quick break. We're going to talk about some more stuff. I'm going to fade out as I move in. It's going to probably play some music in the background. I'm going to show you guys a video regarding some of the stuff I talked about. Hope you're enjoying the motivation conversation. I'll see you in 2.2.
Your brain is like a circuit switch. Once you believe you are something, you actually embody it. You embody that feeling. If you were, God forbid, in a coma, and you woke up and you didn't really have a memory, and you were told that you used to be a Navy SEAL, and they want you back now when you're healthy, do you think you'd act differently and hold yourself differently, conduct yourself different, and have a different self-concept of who you are than if you were told you were a piano instructor? Being successful in life is all about having the proper belief system in who you are. Truly believing that you are something unique, that you are something special in that field. If you truly believe inside of you that you are one of the best actors in the world, you will be entirely different than if you're like, I hope I'm good. Your expressions will be totally different. Your tone of voice. You'll talk in a more convincing fashion. You'll use your natural voice instead of a scripted one. You'll be more emphatic. You'll be more real, more relatable. Our brain is like a circuit. And so if we introduce it with the proper wiring, you're going to go straight to your target. If you're unsure about who you are, then your dreams, your goals, they will never become a reality. Everyone has mental doubts in life, internal conflicts. Even the most successful people that you look up to, but they don't live there. It's how you handle those negative thoughts in that exact moment and overwhelm them with positive action. And that comes with this utmost confidence in yourself that you can handle the situation. Trust in yourself that you are better than the moment.
The greats think differently. The greats see differently, right? The greats have a different worldview. The greats, they approach the game in a totally different way. So I need you to do me a huge favor. I need you to think about what you're thinking about when your effort is low. Because if you can get this, you can get any success you want in life. You can have anything you want in life if you can get this. The next time you give a low effort, right? You give it 70% or 50% or 30%. I want you to think about what you're thinking about when your effort is low. If your effort is low, you're probably not thinking about the opportunity. You're probably thinking about the obligation. And when you think about E.T., how you stay pumped up. E.T.'s how you stay on fire. E.T., how you always driven, even in the midst of trials and tribulations, even in the midst of your haters, when people try to break you and tear you down. E.T., how you stay strong. I keep thinking about the opportunity. Every single day, I'm thinking about the opportunity, and I'm not looking at this thing as an obligation. I'm not looking at this thing as something that I have to do, whether I'm forced to do, right? Something that somebody's making me do. Every time I wake up, I'm thinking, I'm alive, baby. This is the day. This is an opportunity. If you want what you've never had before, if you want to do what you've never done before, if you want to be what you've never been before, change your mentality. And I want you to see that effort goes up when you look at it as, I got an opportunity of a lifetime. But you should be excited about the fact that you have an opportunity.
All right, friends, welcome back. Episode 3. Trace. of the Motivation Conversation. And we're about to wrap it up real quick. I won't take too much of your time. I'm going to get started on the Matrix You Are Neo episode, which I'm obviously not going to show as part of this episode. You'll have to tune into that on that episode. So let me finish up my shenanigans here, because distractions are everywhere, right? All right. So where we left off was talking about support. Before we take that quick break, talking about support and different forms of support and potential malicious acts. Potential malicious acts, right, for showing different forms of support. So moving on, not entirely, kind of. Let's talk about, I want to also discuss, this brings me into, it's a nice transition actually, is a mirage of family and belongings. What the hell? Mirage of family and belongings. Okay, 1, structured purpose. 2, how people do stuff for them and not for you, like support, right? Not showing support at all and reasons why, and one of those reasons being, the concept of playing life safe, right? So let's chat for a second about it, right? What I say about the mirage of family, now, one thing that I've grown for me, and I don't think this is for, I know it's not for everyone, and I don't assume that, and I don't think everybody should think the way that I do, but a lot of people say that I've become emotionally detached, emotionally broken, emotionally whatever, right? Because I am not bound by the constraints of family and title, right? Because a lot of people take advantage of those titles and family, right? Usually, and unfortunately, your family members are the one that hurt you the most, the hardest, the quickest, for no apparent reason, right? Just because it doesn't conform to their life and their idea of, because you guys all have the same last fucking name, right? You all have the same last name, so our family should be like this. You're not part of this chain of what like this should be, so let's cast you off over there, so to speak, or let's kick you while you're down, or let's, talk bad about you instead of support you, or, you guys know how it goes. Everybody has family problems, man. We're all human. That's the beauty about this. You can't sit here, look at me, look at you, and you tell me that your family is fucking perfect. Stop it, for real. You know what I'm saying? And we all know the truth behind it, and it's not up to me to reveal what's behind your curtain. It's for me to help you better understand bullshit that's swirling around behind your curtain. You know what I mean? So, let's talk about the structured purpose of family and belonging as we know it. Let's talk about that first before we get into my hypothetical theories or whatever you want to do, whatever you want to call it, The purpose, right, is for family to support each other, to be there for each other, to love each other, to help you nurture each other in growth and development, right? To help apply their knowledge of life, or not apply, but to help express their knowledge of life to you, to help you understand your path, right? Let's think about the instance from parent or elder, grandparent to, child. Think about that close in family, right? The purpose of that family is to help guide you and aid you and support you, structurally, mentally, in a sense that's going to help you become a better you, right? And long story short, that's the purpose, right? The purpose of belongings is to express the accumulation of success that you have obtained over a matter of time, right? At 15, I got my first car, I got my first job, I got my first this and that, to show what I've accomplished. That's the purpose of belongings, right? It's an expression of accomplishment. Now, what I want to break down is doing it for them and how family gets you. Let's talk about some of those things, right? And how you get yourself and how you get family as well. This is not a biased conversation by any means. This pertains to me, pertains to you, pertains to my family, pertains to your family, and vice versa. How you treat them, how they treat you, how I treat them, how they treat me. We're all people, man. Nobody's perfect. You can hide behind the curtain of this here camera, but you know the absolute truth within yourself when you go to sleep at night. You know, good or bad. I'm not saying either way. I'm not trying to be judgmental. I'm just saying we know the truth. We know the absolute truth, whether we expose it to the world or not. You know, that's irrelevant. But think about situations where people do stuff for them. You know, one of my biggest personal issues, not to bash people in my family or anything like that, but just to give you a sense of understanding, why not use myself to make it relatable, right? I have people in my family, and I'll say it that way. I have people in my family that like to, as simple as comment on something, right, for the sake of them being able to acknowledge that they acknowledged me. You know what I mean? You know, like the reverse psychology and like the manipulation tactic of the matter, right? You know, somebody in my family, you know, would comment something positive on one of my posts, let's say, you know, this is like a simple form of the situation. Not because they want to acknowledge my existence, right? Not because they want to acknowledge that the gap and try to bridge that gap in our relationship, right? Not because they're actually doing it out the kindness of their heart for meanings of support, right? But it's to help build the mirage. See, the mirage of family, you see how it's coming into play? They want to help build the mirage of their stability. You see what I mean? They want to help build that mirage of their perfect world, right? So they can take their perfect, so they can take all those ideas of their perfect world and incorporate it into things like social media to build that mirage for people around them, because they have their own afflictions, which is not up to me to say or determine, or, you know what I mean? Whatever those afflictions may be. And that happens. I'm not saying that's everybody's case. I'm not saying that is the case all the time. But that happens, and there are people like that. And if you're one of those people, you need to understand that's something that should not be happening. Once again, support is not for you, right? Acknowledgement is not for you, it's for the other person. We're emotional creatures. We're driven by emotion. Sometimes you have to appease to those emotions, at least to the ones you care about. Because that's what makes people feel good. That's what gives us another sense of motivation, right? A sense of self. You get the tingles, and, you know, when somebody says something good that's meaningful, you know, you get goosebumps, you know, hairs in the back of your neck stand up. You feel happy, and it kind of sucks you in, and you start to get this sense of you get this sense of obsession with trying to build this success, because people are acknowledging that, and that's what we all seek naturally. That's just how it goes. You know, but don't get caught up in being the mirage, and don't get caught up in the mirage. But also don't give that other person power. When you know that mirage is there, you got to have the understanding that people will be who they are, and know that they're trying to build a mirage, and let them go ahead and live them. Even if it bothers you. It happened to me recently. And this is why I'm talking about it, for the reset button. Because it's going to happen to you. It's probably going to happen to me again. It's probably already happened. It happened to me right on New Year's Eve. Understand the mirage, and don't give them power. Give them powers because you understand the mirage, and then you want to instigate your understanding. When they're just being them. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes you just voicing your opinion is not relevant to your growth of success and personal ideal of self. Your voice is not always necessary in order to achieve the visual effect that you're trying to present to everybody. Sometimes you don't have to say nothing. Think about this. When people first start watching movies, they were silent films. And it still portrayed the story that they wanted to portray without saying a thing. So you gotta have control and self-control, and let go of your ego, and let go. See, let go. And people won't have that power over you, because as you're seeking that, they're just doing that to appease themselves. They're making you raise that eyebrow so you get that interaction. So now you're feeling their flame. And for what? Now you're stuck back in the cycle of distraction. We'll talk plenty about distractions in the Matrix and in plenty of future episodes. So just understand, man, a lot of problems that we face is about perception. A lot of situations we face, a lot of emotional feelings of failure or loss of control or non-acceptance. It all comes from perception. And we'll get more into the depths of that in future conversations and episodes. And I think a lot of reasons why people don't show, especially what's closest to you, family, is because they want to play it safe, right? You think about, oh, this is our family, right? You're this part, I'm a Harris, right? So Harrises are supposed to be this way. We're supposed to think this way, act, feel this way, live this way, move this way, be this way. That's why you got the same last name as us. We're supposed to rebuild this ideal of similarity and kind of echo chambers of being the same people, because we're put in those environments, right? And it all starts with our last name. You see how that correlates? And then so what happens is that people want you to play it safe. You know what I mean? People want you to do it the safe way, which in a sense becomes the easiest way. Conceptually, you see what I'm saying? Because the safe way is easier because the safe way is known and studied and proven and happened on multiple occasions. That's the safe way. If you do it just like this, you're probably going to end up with this result, right? But if you tweak it just a little bit, it's going to be a complete disaster, right? Like people try to be so safe. It's like baking, right? Baking is a science. You have to do it to the T. You can't change the formula when you bake a cake, otherwise it's not going to be a proper cake, And everything has a specific formula when you add certain things. You want this type of cake, you need this type of recipe. You want this type of cake, you need this type of recipe. You can't be like, oh, I want a cake, go in the kitchen, start putting some shit together, and you end up with cake. You got to follow a precise method and procedure for success. Life doesn't work like that. I mean, it can, but it shouldn't have to. It can work like that, but then whose success are you living? The world's perception of success, not your own. You see what I'm saying? But then when you do things your way and don't play it safe, people start to try to pull you back, rear you back, Growing up when I was a kid, I tried to understand this concept a lot, and I don't get it, but, my dad always told me, if you want to play football, if football is what you want to do with your life, then you're going to need a backup plan. Oh, you want to play football, you're going to need a backup plan. You're going to need a backup plan, And I understand to a point, you could get injured and be out of the game forever. But what I understand is, why does that have to be a concept of mine? That creates fear. That creates playing it safe. That makes me feel like, oh, there's a possibility. If you put yourself in a situation of greatness, right? Let's say you're trying to become whatever you're trying to become. Let's say you're trying to become an athlete or a doctor or a lawyer, a nurse, a teacher, astronaut, a president, or whatever. It goes on forever, right? Let's say you're trying to become that, right? And then you are introduced to this concept of, it's probably not going to work, right? Introduced to this concept of, it's probably not going to work. And actually, I got a great video to help me explain this, and I'm going to play it at the end. At the end of every show I do, I got some motivational stuff. This will be the first one. I wanted some other stuff, but this will actually be the first one. This is really good. So I'll put that video at the end of this, and we're almost done here. But as soon as you're given that perception of, oh, there's a potential that it won't work, we have this natural inclination as people to then start trying to realize that moment, right? Of, oh, I'm doing everything right. When's it going to happen where something doesn't work? I'm doing everything right. When's it going to happen that something won't work? You see what I'm saying? And as long as you have that perception and that idea built in your head, you're going to hold yourself back because you're going to start playing it safe. You're not going to take the drastic steps, because sometimes it takes a huge leap to get to the next step. Not every step is just, you know what I'm saying? It takes a huge leap sometimes to get to that next step, and even that final step. That's the biggest leap, to get to that final step. And so what happens is that people fear that idea of failure, right? And because they fear the idea of failure, they feed you that idea and that fear, right? Now think about this. If you try to strive for your version of greatness, and nobody ever told you that you wouldn't be able to have your version of greatness, right? They were just like, man, just work hard, do everything you can. You're gonna fucking get there. Just, you know what I'm saying? Do this, because it's more than motivation and being pushed. It's more than just, you know, being told that you can do something. You actually got to put forth the effort. You actually got to put in the work, right? You actually got to take care of the business, and you got to go through the mental strain and find your threshold and understanding. And that's a whole other conversation. There's a process. People can't just tell you, oh man, you want to play sports, you want to be a doctor, you got it. There's a whole lot more behind that curtain that you need to open up your mind to and realize. And we'll talk about that in another episode. That's not this episode. This is just some stuff I want to go over with you. But the point of this is that I want you to understand that don't play. People that tell you that you can't be great is because they're scared. People that tell you you can't be great is because they weren't able to be great. And their fears that stop them, they want to instill those fears in you and stop you. Because if a person wanted you to make it, right? If a person wanted you to accomplish what you were going to accomplish or what you set out to accomplish, why would they give you a reason to not try to accomplish what you set out to accomplish? If they wanted you to improve, if they wanted you to be great, right? Now check, here, think about this for a second. You're trying to accomplish what you're set out to accomplish. And I can do one of two things. Well, three things. Three, I can stay the fuck out of it, understand it's not my situation, that's your life, you're going to be who you are, do what you do, how you do it, and not voice my opinion at all. That's always the first thing a person can do, right? Second thing a person can do is to feed negative information into your atmosphere to help change your perception of the goal that you're after. And that negative influence slows you down and hinders you from reaching that point of greatness. You'll get close, but as long as you can't escape that fear, and, you know, not to say that you can't kind of hold on to that fear for, you know, like, they said fear this, I'm not going to fear this. When this comes, I know not to fear, because you're just that in tune with yourself, you know. But that's not the point of them doing that. We're not talking about how you perceive it. We're talking about the principle behind why they're doing what they're doing. If they wanted you to be great, they wouldn't do it that way, right? Now instead, if they wanted you to be great and it wasn't selfish, like, oh, you know, like on Friday.
It ain't gonna work. I bet you don't get none. I bet you don't get it. I bet you don't get it.
You ain't gonna get it. I hope you don't get it. He ain't gonna get it, you know. Instead of being like that, I could feed you information that I've gained based on my fear, even if it's based on my fear, in a positive light, to help you be able to grow when you succumb to that situation, if you do, along your path, because everybody's path is different. Even if it's similar, it's still different. So if there's something that made me fearful for accomplishing that goal, instead of telling you, well, it can't happen because this happened and I wasn't able to do this and this happened and you can't do it, or just to be negative and not support you and this and that, why not help you grow, right? I see something you're trying to do that I wasn't capable of doing it because it wasn't for me, like we talked about earlier. It's just not my situation to be in. I didn't fail, I just gained experience points. Why? Because, why is it experience points? Going back to the beginning of the episode, why is it experience points? Because now I have the experience to now pass on to somebody else to help better their experience. So they can decide to either avoid that, which stopped me from achieving that, or they can understand that and grow from it and move on and build. See what I'm saying? Hey, I can't sing for shit, so another person wants to be a singer. I'm like, well, you know, I'm going to give them every reason why they can't do it. No. I'm going to tell them, well, you know what? Make sure, you know, you're working on your vocals. Make sure you're doing A, B, and C, and D so you don't run into the problem of this. You know? And don't be scared of those problems just because, here's the thing, I'm not putting negative influence into your mind, right? I'm telling you that if you do this, you don't have to worry about this problem. This problem is going to exist. We're acknowledging the problem, but that's not being negative by acknowledging the problem. Letting them know that you can avoid it is letting them know there's a way. There's an opportunity. There's a different path you can take to get past this situation. And this may become one of your situations, but no, that there's a way to get past it. You just need to work at that way along your route to it, so when you get to it, you're ahead of the game and you're ready for it. And even if you're not ready for it, you know there's a way to beat it once you get to it. That's how you put a positive spin on a bad situation, man. You know? As a person, you should not allow people to play safe that don't want to play safe. If a person want to play safe, accept that. You know what I'm saying? Let them play safe. If you see potential in them, say something. There's nothing wrong with sparking that ambition, so to speak. Nothing wrong with sparking ambition. You know? But don't make people play it safe simply because you were scared and you decided to play it safe. So I'm saying, man, it's about selflessness. You know, don't be selfish. Especially when it comes to information. It's the most valuable thing, man. Information, the most valuable thing. You know? Lastly, before we get out of here, just real quick. All this goes into play, and everything that I'm probably going to talk about goes into play with emotional control. What I mean by emotional control is understanding that the one thing done wrong, does not outweigh the 1,000 things done right. Remember that, right? Think about somebody upsets you, right? You have a relationship, family member, friend, whatever have you, and they do something wrong, right? Don't let that automatically delete everything that they've done right. Because otherwise you wouldn't have been with this person in whatever form of the relationship for this long. You would have been cut them off a long time ago. So understand that, right? If somebody fucks up, understand they're human too. Understand they have a separate threshold. Understand they have a different perception of understanding in the situation that you're in. And yeah, some people are just assholes. I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to, give people excuses for being the assholes that they are. That's just how it is. Some people are just assholes. Separate yourself from it. Don't give them the power if that's the case. But if somebody legit does something wrong that goes against, your moral compass, not necessarily trying to, but just for lack of better understanding, don't hold that against them. Help them grow and become a better person. And I'm actually going to get into that in an episode, so we're just going to stop right there. And there we go. This is the reset button, and these are some things that I feel are real important to reset. Thank you guys for hanging out with me here in episode 3. We're going to have a great year to come on the Motivation Conversation. Remember, you got anything you want to talk about, anything you want me to promote, anything you're trying to do, any words of wisdom, advice, pop it in the comments so I can spread it to the world, because that's what should happen. And remember, whatever your it is, whatever your it is, get it every time, all the time. That's all we're here for, man. Enjoy life, live it, don't let it live you. All those slide things that you've seen right here. It's your boy Eric Harris from the Motivation Conversation. I love you guys, man. Appreciate you. Make sure you spread the word. Let's get this positivity going in the correct way. Understanding. I love you guys. Motivation Conversation. We out.
Well, you thought it was over. Well, it's just getting started. This is the part where you reinvent yourself. It's time to get tested, to test your will, your endurance. It's time to test your heart, to test your limit. It's about no days off, no weekends, no holidays, no birthdays. Listen to me, no days off. It's about gaining the competitive edge. You can't afford to make excuses. No excuses when you feel pain and trust. You feel it. And all you want to do is give up. And all you want to do is give in. When you feel like you've given all you got, you got to take one more step. You got to run one more lap. You got to throw one more punch until you reach the top.
So what do you do when you fall down? Get back up. Everybody knows to get back up. But I tell you, there are some times in life where you fall down and you feel like you don't have the strength to get back up. You see, I will try 100 times to get up, and if I fail 100 times, if I fail and I give up, do you think that I'm ever going to get up? No. But if I fail, I try again, and again and again.
You know, teenage mom got pregnant at 17, you know, and, you know, I just been failing my whole life, man. My old dude didn't come in my life until I was about 30, dropped out of high school, took 12 years to get a 4-year degree. Man, I mastered failing, you know? So I'm like so many kids, man, in trouble with the law, in trouble in school, in trouble at home, just trouble. And somebody came in my life and spoke life into me. It was like, kid, you got game. Like, you a leader, you got a mouthpiece, like you gonna do great things and you need to get your stuff together. And they challenged me, you know, and I accepted the challenge and I just fell forward. You know, I learned from my mistakes and I turned my mistakes into a book. I turned my mistakes into a message.
See, you've got some talents and abilities right now you have that if you don't challenge yourself to use those talents and abilities, you'll never ever discover the full effect that they can have on achieving all the things that you want to achieve. Most people go through life never using the power they have. You have enormous power to begin to create all the things that you want in your life experience that most people go through life never using. Just find one thing and just decide that you're going to work with it until it gives you the blessing that you want, and don't let up on it. Just keep right on working it and working it and working it, and knowing that whatever you do, you can better your best, that you can get better at it, that whatever you are achieving right now, it's only a tip of the iceberg of what's possible for you.
And so many people are dying with dreams. They dying with books inside of them, CDs inside of them, acting skills inside of them, athletes inside of them. Like, so much is inside of them that they never get out because they don't want it, you know? And I just know something about humans. You've seen mothers like weigh 140 pounds pick up a car when they babies are trapped under a car. Like, she 140. How she pick up the ride? But she wanted it. Like, she wanted her baby to live, and you take her the next day and you try to get her to lift the car, man, she can't touch that ride. But the day before, that adrenaline, you know, that movement, that everything in her was able to do that because of her why. So when you want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe, man, you could be, or you could do whatever you want to do in life.
Give it everything you got. See, put your heart in it. Most people, when they're working on dreams, they don't give it everything they have. And all you can do is enough. Well, see, most people don't do all they can do. Most people go through life holding back.
As long as there's momentum, as long as you're getting up every single day and moving towards your particular ideal, your worthy ideal, you are winning. It is success.
It's up to you. If you want to stay there, you can stay there, and you can murmur and complain and whine, and that's real. But if you want to get up from where you are, there are millions of Eric Thomases who've been where you've been, who've experienced what you've experienced, and we just made a decision that, yo, I don't want this no more. Enough is enough. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired.
I've been at this shit for 9 years. Now they start to call. I'm a DIY pioneer. They trying to get involved. Yippee-ki-yay, got to set it off. I'm probably the only one. Yeah, I'm correct when you approach me. I can size you up, taking all the shots like Kobe. Almost 81. Guess I got to play the goalie and go and save me some. I'm probably the only one. Yeah.